Imagine raising a child for 15 years, only to find out one shocking truth that changes everything. That's exactly what happened to Michael, and trust me, you won't see this twist coming. Michael was the kind of dad most people admired from afar. He wasn't flashy, he didn't drive a fancy car, and he certainly wasn't the guy giving out parenting advice at barbecues. But in the eyes of his daughter Emma, he was everything. He worked long shifts at the factory, came home exhausted, and yet still had enough energy to help Emma with her math homework, or sit through her endless stories about what happened at school that day. You know those moments when your kid explains every detail of a lunchroom conversation and you're just nodding like, uh-huh, really? Yeah, Michael mastered that skill. He wasn't perfect. He burned dinners, forgot birthdays of distant relatives, and occasionally lost his patience. But Emma never doubted his love. He was there at every soccer game, cheering louder than anyone. He was there when she cried over her first heartbreak. And he was there on Christmas mornings, pretending to be surprised by the gifts he had stayed up all night wrapping. From the outside, they looked like the picture of a father-daughter bond. What no one knew, including Michael, was that beneath that perfect picture, a hidden truth was waiting to surface. It started on an ordinary Saturday afternoon. Michael was cleaning out an old drawer in the attic, a drawer he hadn't touched since his wife, Anna, passed away nearly 15 years ago. Dusty photo albums, faded birthday cards, and old receipts filled the space. But tucked inside a small envelope at the very bottom was something different. The envelope had his name on it, written in Anna's handwriting. His chest tightened the moment he saw it. You know that feeling when you stumble on something you weren't meant to find? That mix of curiosity and dread? That's exactly what rushed through him. He opened it carefully, half expecting some forgotten love note. But as he read the words, his heart began to pound. The letter revealed a secret Anna had taken to the grave. Emma wasn't his biological daughter. Michael's hands shook. He read the letter 3 for times, hoping he had misunderstood. But the words were clear. Anna had made a mistake before they were married, and she never found the courage to tell him. For 15 years, he had lived a life built on love. But now, in one shocking moment, he questioned everything he thought he knew. Michael sat on the floor of the attic, the letter crumpled in his hands. For a long while, he couldn't move. It felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. The woman he had loved, the mother of his child, had carried this secret all along. His mind replayed every memory. The day Emma was born, when the nurse placed her in his arms and he whispered, "That's my girl." The school projects they stayed up late working on, the nights she crawled into his bed after a nightmare. Suddenly, each moment carried a question mark. Was any of it real? Part of him felt betrayed, even angry at Anna for leaving him with this truth. Another part wanted to tear the letter apart and pretend he'd never found it. But the thought that haunted him most was Emma. Should he tell her? Would she even see him as her father anymore? Or worse, would she go searching for the man Anna hinted at in the letter? That night, Michael barely slept. Every creak of the house, every soft sound from Emma's room down the hall reminded him of the secret he now carried. His reality had shattered, and the pieces were cutting deep. For days, Michael went through life in a haze. He still drove Emma to school, still asked her about her day, still made pancakes on Sunday mornings. But behind every smile, there was a storm brewing. He thought about telling her. Every time she laughed at one of his dumb dad jokes, he almost blurted it out. Every time she called him dad, his throat tightened. But then he imagined the look on her face if she learned the truth, that her whole life had been a lie, at least in part. Michael realized he had two options: share the truth and risk breaking Emma's heart, carry the burden himself and let her life remain untouched. He wrestled with it late at night, pacing the kitchen while the clock ticked louder and louder. Was keeping silence selfish, Or was it the ultimate act of love? One night, after hours of thinking, he stood in front of the bathroom mirror and said it out loud. "She's my daughter. Nothing changes that." And in that moment, Michael made his choice. He would protect Emma's world, even if it meant burying the truth forever. Years passed, and Michael kept his promise to himself. He never mentioned the letter. He tucked it away in the back of a drawer, convinced it would never see the light of day again. Emma grew into a bright young woman, confident, funny, the kind of person who could light up a room. But fate has a way of uncovering what we try hardest to hide. One afternoon, while looking for an old photo album, Emma stumbled upon that same envelope. At first, she thought it was just another keepsake from her mom. But when she opened it, her world tilted. She sat on her bed, the letter trembling in her hands, reading the words again and again. Her mother's confession cut through her like a blade. That night, she confronted Michael. Her voice was shaking, tears already streaming down her face. "Dad, is this true? Am I not your daughter?" Michael's heart sank. He had imagined this moment 1,000 times, but nothing could prepare him for the real thing. He looked at her, the same girl whose hand he held crossing the street, whose scraped knees he bandaged, whose future he had sacrificed for, and knew what he had to say. Michael walked over and sat beside Emma, his hands heavy, his chest tight. For a moment, he couldn't find the words. Finally, he took her hand and said softly, "Emma, I don't care what that letter says. You're my daughter. You've always been my daughter. And nothing will ever change that." Emma sobbed, but not from anger. It was relief. Relief that the man who had raised her, who had been her anchor through every storm, wasn't letting go. They sat there for a long time, the letter between them like a ghost of the past. But in that moment, its power faded, because the truth was clear. Family isn't written in DNA. It's written in sacrifice, in love, in the moments you show up again and again. Later, when Emma told this story to her own children, she didn't talk about betrayal. She talked about devotion, about a father who chose love over blood, and how that choice shaped her life. And maybe that's the lesson for all of us. Sometimes, the family we choose is the truest family of all.